Hey, what's up, guys? Millermassacre 19 here. I'm going to be ranking all the Jasons from worst to best. This is my opinion, so don't get all pissed off if you don't agree, because it's just my opinion. I won't be including Savini because I don't have him, or Jason X, because the only way you can get him is through modding. Anyway, here we go. My number 8 pick is Part 9. He's my least favorite to play as. He has less traps, less hit points, and he can't run. The less traps make it impossible to trap objectives right. He only has 3 traps, so you can only trap each objective once. The less hit points makes his mask easier to knock off, so it's a nightmare if you're facing a lobby where everyone's trying to kill you. And on top of that, he can't run, so you're most likely going to get bullied if you're not super careful. His strengths are plus shift, plus stun resistance, and plus stalk. I prefer to have minus shift so I could be more accurate with shift grabs. The stun resistance is good and the stalk is good, so you almost have to play him stealthy. I don't prefer that. That's why Jason 9 is my number 8 pick. My number 7 pick is Part 7. His weaknesses are he can't run, he has minus traps, and he has bad stun resistance. Because of his lack of traps and running, like Part 9, he has a hard time putting pressure on objectives. His strengths are plus sense, plus water speed, and plus weapon strength. The only reason you would need water speed is for the boat, and what if nobody takes the boat, and what if there isn't one on the map? Then it's a waste in my opinion. The only good things are the plus sense and plus weapon strength. That doesn't make up for the weaknesses in my opinion. That's why Part 7 is my number 7 pick. My number 6 pick is Part 8. His weaknesses are minus sense, can't run, minus grip strength. His strengths are plus water speed, plus destruction, plus stalk. The only weakness that's a major problem to me is can't run. Other than that, he's a good Jason, mostly because of destruction. This Jason was a nightmare when the game first came out, but once they nerfed the grab, I stopped playing as any walking Jason, because now, unless you're perfect at shifting, you really can't keep the pressure on them with walking Jasons, unless you use stalk, or like I said before, you're nearly perfect at shifting, because they know all that you can do is walk. They'll just bully you. It's not worth the hassle, in my opinion. That's why Part 8 is my number 6 pick. My number 5 pick is Part 6. His weaknesses are minus defense, can't run, and morph. His strengths are plus throwing knives, plus sense, and plus shift. The only weaknesses that I can't stand with this Jason are the can't run and minus morph. He makes up for the can't run with more throwing knives. He comes with 6 plus the 2 at his house, so if you're good at throwing knives, this is the Jason for you. I would much rather be able to run, but out of all the walking Jasons, he's my favorite, mostly because of the throwing knives. That's why Part 6 Jason is my number 5 pick. My number 4 pick is Part 5, or Roy. His weaknesses are minus defense, minus grip strength, and minus stun resistance. And his strengths are plus throwing knives, plus stalk, and can run. The only things that are a major problem for me are the minus stun resistance, and it feels like he hardly does any melee damage when he hits people. Other than that, he's a pretty good Jason, or imposter Jason. He can run and has a good amount of knives. Definitely not the worst Jason. That's why he's my number 4 pick. My number 3 pick is Part 4 Jason. His weaknesses are minus water speed, minus shift, minus traps, and his strengths are can run, plus weapon strength, and plus destruction. This Jason is a fucking pain in the ass, just because he has destruction and can run. There's no getting away from this Jason if the player even halfway knows what they're doing. 3 hits to break down a barricaded door and he comes sprinting toward you. Good luck getting away, because most people that I run into would just tunnel you, because they know that you can't last against him. That's why he's my number 3 pick. My number 2 pick is Part 3 Jason. His strengths are can run, plus weapon strength, and plus grip strength. His weaknesses are minus stun resistance, minus sense, and minus stalk. I like this Jason, not just because of how he looks, but because he has decent amount of traps, decent amount of knives, good weapon damage, can run. He's basically the Kenny of Jasons. He's not great at one thing, but he could do mostly everything decent, and he's the first Jason you start with, so you don't have to grind to unlock him. Those were the reasons why he's my number 2 pick. My number 1 pick is Part 2 Jason. His strengths are can run, plus traps, plus morph, and his weaknesses are minus shift, minus defense, and minus water speed. I like this Jason for the insane amount of traps he gets. He gets 7 traps, he gets 2 throwing knives, plus the 2 at his shack, which isn't too bad, I guess. It'll get you 2 people injured if you're accurate, then you can grab them or hit them to death. And I also like the minus shift. It's slower and recovers slower, but since you move slower and shift, you can be way more accurate. I prefer minus shift, but that's just me. I also like his plus morph, so with the combined plus traps and plus morph and can run, he's almost impossible to deal with if it's a good person playing him. Those were the reasons why part 2 is my favorite Jason to play as, and why he's my #1 pick. Alright guys, those were the Jasons ranked from worst to best in my opinion. I prefer running Jasons over walking Jasons, but that's just me. I also want to say thanks to Alex Fiction for asking me about making this video. Thanks for watching. This has been Millermassacre 19. Shake and bake.